wood shop. Thank God for wood.
Let me start with Kai. What do you have, Kai?
I've got some workshop pictures I could share, or I can share.
Please do. Yes.
So we talked about storage solutions for workshop equipment. And when I got my workshop, I decided to build lots and lots of drawers that you can see in the background. All in all, I think more than 40. And also to use the walls to hang a lot of things to the walls. So that's the idea, drawers and using the walls. And then when I need the tools, I just take them out and put them on this kind of tool thing here, support. And because for one job, you normally don't need that many different tools. So I just take the ones I need and then I put them back. And for another job, I get maybe other tools. And also on the other side of the lathe here, there's an outboard turning arm, and I normally don't use it a lot. So I put another tool holder onto the outboard thing. So I can place tools here, and that's enough for the job I'm doing. So
nice lathe.
Wait, we haven't
explained what brand is that?
It's a Geiger Lathe, and I think this design started in the 60s, maybe mid-60s or something like this. And I bought it secondhand.
Explain the tailstock.
The what? Sorry?
Tailstock. That it's got arms and levers, and man, that's
this thing here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just for drilling. So you can kind of unlock the spindle here, and then you can move the tailstock.
It's the ram.
Yeah, you can move it forward and backward for drilling, and it works brilliant with smaller drills, but for big Forstner bits, I still use the hand wheel because that gives you more power for drilling. But if the drills aren't too thick, it's nice to use this one. It also allows you to pull the drill back quickly to get rid of the shavings and then push it in again, pull it back again. It's far quicker than turning the hand wheel all the time forward and backward. So that's nice to have that for drilling. And then on the other side, that's just the old switch to switch the lathe on and off. I don't use it anymore because I have got a frequency converter now, and I have electronic speed control, so I don't need that anymore. And yeah, and also the switch here is not needed anymore. I just do it with the frequency controller. Yeah, okay, I've got some more photos that I'll just have to move that, otherwise I can't see my arrow. Here it is. So these are the drawers for the tools, where I store them, more of them, and also the others, similar content. I've got my drawers in there for the Axminster chuck, and sanding discs. They don't all look that nice, my drawers, so I took a photo of that one to show that not everything is in order. I still have to think about how to get some order into this slot. But once you start doing that, you lose a lot of space. And I guess if I put it in orderly, then I won't have enough space for all the bits and pieces that are in there at the moment. So
I think it's remarkable that you're so good at actually putting stuff back in the drawers. That's where my problem is. I just leave it out.
Yeah, I try to clean the workshop after finishing a job. So, and then everything goes back, and then I take it out the next time. So that seems to work. It takes some time, but then I find most of my stuff again later on. So yeah, same idea. Lots of things hung to the walls, and this is an old dentist's cabinet, and here also more drawers beneath my tormek grinder. So I think I've got some photos from the inside. So this is all the Morse taper sleeves and whatever stuff like that is in there. And drill press again has got a movable base that is on casters and more drawers. Just look inside. These are my Forstner bits. I collected them over a very long period of time because they are really expensive. But now I've got them in a lot of sizes, and it's really nice just to have the right bit for a job.
How big is your
what
shop?
else? Sorry?
How big is your shop? What's the size?
Oh, it's about 40 square meters. And then I have to figure that out in square feet.
About 120. 120 feet square?
Yeah, could be. I'll do it. Roughly. I'll do it later on, and then I can tell you. It's rather big, but it's I still have got a lot of machinery in there, and I also started storing dry wood in there that I don't want to store in other places because it will get moist again. So it's quite cramped, even though it's a big shop. For me, it's a big job.
Yeah,
150 square feet.
Yeah. Okay. And my wife keeps telling me that it is a very big shop, and that I use up a lot of space in our cellar for my hobby, or our basement for my hobby.
Well, at least you're not in the pool hall.
So my workbench, more drawers for bits and pieces and planes and whatever. I bought some, or this one, a secondhand office cabinet, and that is quite nice because it's got these kind of rolling doors, or I don't know how you call them. They don't open on hinges, but you just kind of push them close. They kind of move along this here, down here, and up here. So once the doors are open, they are not in the room. They don't take up space, and you don't hit them when you walk around the workshop. So for saw plates and shaper bits and stuff like that. More drawers down here. Bolts and nuts and whatever small pieces go in there.
Everything is so incredibly clean.
Yeah, I cleaned it up for the photos. And I've been reading the Fine Woodworking magazine for a long time. So when you do that, you end up with a tool cabinet like that, because you think you need something similar at home that you saw in the magazines. So that's for other hand tools, woodworking hand tools. And yeah, and again, wall space for vacuum chucks and sanding pads for my angle grinder. And measuring tools. I've still got some things in banana boxes, but that's wood and not tools. So yeah, I'm one of these collectors, and I've got actually too much stuff.
No, not you, Kai. How could you have too much stuff?
Never happened.
You got the space for it. Enjoy it.
Yeah, but it's nice to have it. Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Hey, Kai,
Any questions for Kai?
yeah, how many years you been in that shop? You spent a lot of time organizing shelves and hooks and all kinds of drawers. How many years you've been working at that?
About 20.
Okay, I don't feel so bad.
Well,
I try to do some turning once in a while in between organizing my shop.
Okay, Mike Peace.
Okay, I want to show you a few shop pictures. Okay, that was like Kai, I love drawers. And a friend of mine, when I asked for some assistance for some consultation, he said, make it like a machinist chest from small to medium to large. And turns out he was absolutely right. And I've got this little table slide out desk thing that kind of helps. And then I've got this thing at the top with a tool holder with a cleat, and that comes off, and I can use, well, we'll come back to another picture. There's my tool storage carousel on an old repurposed desk chair I found out on the street corner. That's my traveling bucket. What do we want to, was there a question?
Well, unlike a lot of guys, you store your tools point down, which I totally.
Oh, absolutely. The idea of a sharp pointed tool sticking up just freaks me out. One slip in your shop and you're liable to bleed out before you could reach for a phone. That's my traveling tool bucket. And now that I do some teaching in my shop, so I have a mini lathe, and I just created a second bucket for that, so I can put the tools the students using over near them. And it's got different size holes, and it'll hold live centers, drive centers, and so forth. There's my shop storage on the wall. I've got a French Cleat system, which I just love, and it was especially handy when I recently upgraded my Powermatic to the Centennial model, and I moved it down about 18 inches to give me some more room, so I had to slide things down on the wall. So I've got everything I can easily reach out for all my small stuff on the wall. And
Mike, I might be the only one that doesn't know what a French cleat is, but could you explain it, please?
Yeah, a French cleat is just a piece of plywood. There's different styles, but mine uses a 45-degree cut. So the cleat, the part that you see facing you, behind the top of it has a 45-degree slope, and the cleat is on the back of each one of these apparatuses, and it just drops right in. So I can lift it up and move it, or just cut off a little 45-degree angle on a piece of plywood, slap it on the back of anything I want to hang, and I can hang it anywhere. So that's why you can see these little small holders stuck. And even I've got a monitor over to the right here. You can see I supported it on 2 different cleats.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So this is a unit that I made. I had a desk here that was just totally horizontal spaces, just collect space, and I made this unit. I spend a lot of time designing my unit. So I've got cabinet drawers on the left. I've got my wood burner in there. The little opening in the middle is for, I stick my drills. And then the closed cabinet in the upper right hand corner is for my trend to air shield. I turned all these knobs. I get a kick out of seeing turners that will go out and buy knobs instead of turning them. But I did an article for American Woodturner in conjunction with this on how to turn a knob. Now, let me see if I missed one up front here. Okay, so there's that same cabinet. I was able to adapt my little wooden bedway extension so I can slide my tailstock onto it, and it's on casters, and I can just roll it away. It's not as handy as a swing away, but it was a lot cheaper, except for the labor. And I really needed all this storage space. In this picture, you can also see the small lathe stand I made for my little Laguna teaching lathe. And it's got a drop front cabinet and as well as 4 drawers. And this cabinet that's on my Powermatic, it's the same one that I built originally for my B model, which I recently sold when I acquired this. And this thing is so heavy. The Powermatics are so heavy, you don't really need ballast, I don't think. So this is storage. I have my boring bars and my large texturing tools inside this cabinet. The previous one, because of the webbing and the changed design, this is the same cabinet, but it sits a little lower on the B model, which makes it a trade-off. You have more room here above the cabinet to put tool rests and such, or in my case, I put a piece of granite on it from a kitchen remodel, but you had a little less room to sweep under it. And then when I adapted that same cabinet, I had to ditch the granite because I couldn't afford to waste that space. So I did stick a piece of granite inside this drawer because it didn't take up that much space. So that's all I've got. Any questions?
How big is your shop, Mike?
It's about 14 and a half feet wide and 45 feet long.
That's not a drawer. That's a door.
It's a door. It's not a drawer. No, that swings down. I got this idea from visiting Joe Ruminski up in Asheville, North Carolina. He had one of these, and I thought, wow, what a beautiful design. And I had it was from scraps I had in my shop, even the hinges I had in my shop.
How many lathes are in there?
I have three, but one of them is one I started with, Little Jet 1014. It's now a dedicated Beal buff, and it's behind me. It's behind this curtain you see to the left.
Right.
I have a question. What's the granite for?
Well, the granite is just to give it some extra weight. Again, I didn't think it was necessary, but they had a piece of granite when they remodeled my kitchen. So I had them cut it to size so I could lay on top just to give it a little extra weight. But the C model is 96 pounds heavier than its predecessor B model.
Well, I have a B model, and it walked across my painted garage floor when I put a piece on. So I put rubber belting, mine belting pads underneath each of the feet, and that kept it in place then after that.
I guess it all depends on what you turn. I don't turn big stuff because it's just too much work for me. And but we have a wood turner in one of my clubs, Wes Jones, that does almost nothing but large pieces, and he had the A model. And I asked him about ballast, and he didn't have, and I visited him in his shop. He didn't have any ballast on his. And I mean, he turned really big hollow forms. And he said he just didn't find it was necessary. So I would think for a 600+ pound lathe, if it's walking across the shop, there's something going on. That's my opinion, but I turn mostly small stuff. So
well, the garage floor has a slope to it to get to go into the drain. That was part of it.
Okay.
And it was painted with a floor paint, so it was pretty slippery. But I put the rubber pads under it and leveled it, and that kept it still.
Yeah.
Well, I recollect a shop I worked in one time with a large lathe that had been bolted to the floor, and all of the feet where it had bolted, the cast iron had snapped. So you had a bolt and a piece of cast iron bolted to the floor, and a lathe that was free floating. So that's what happens when you try and pin them down.
Yeah.
You get good at turning. When you learn to turn on a shopsmith, you chase it around the room.
I can believe that.
It's part of the fun.
Absolutely it is. I have three more hands up here. Are you done, Mike? You got more to say? And any more questions for Mike?
I'm done.
Questions?
Mike, is that the lathe you showed your unboxing?
It is. It's the same as the Monster regular color, except it was just last year they had their centennial, so they had this a special edition, and they actually sold it for a few $100s less toward the end of the year because they built them early in the year, didn't have the same price increases, and then just fairly recently, this past month, they had a 10% off sale, and it also comes with a lamp and a fatigue mat. So the anniversary model is definitely the way to go.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the idea of turning the knobs for all the drawers yourself. I once wanted to turn knobs of different kinds of wood. So each knob, one species of wood for all the drawers I've got. But I haven't done it so far. I will in future, I hope.
I'm totally in favor of that as well. I mean, you're a turner, turn the knobs.
Well, it did get me an article in American Woodturner.
Well, after you've done a dozen, you'll be pretty good at it too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think some people I like to turn a bunch of multiples. I find that the only way I'm going to learn how to do it is to turn a half dozen or more. Other people turn one and move on, so different tastes. Let's see, Bowman, what do you have?
Well, I want to show you my shop, I think.
Go for it.
Somebody was asking me recently why I had a blanket hanging behind my buffing machine. I said it's because I have glass all in the front of my shop and I was trying to keep the cold out. That's the reason for that. Now I got to go to the next one.
Well, hold on a second now. How big is that building?
It's about 24 deep. If you go all the way to the back corner, and about 10 or 12 feet wide up to this is storage for lumber and stuff on this side. My shop is from here over. It's small. It's kind of crowded. I move machines around a lot. So let me get inside. The point here was to see here is the this is the left side on that picture. Behind that wall is where my wood storage and lawnmower and stuff is. This is my lathe setup on what I call the lathe side. By the way, you guys who worry about cutting yourself with a chisel, put the chisel handle at the height of where your hand grabs it. Then you never cut yourself. Before I moved here, I had built this rack and hung it on the fuel oil tank in my basement, which was right behind my lathe. And when I moved here, I just put it on the wall because I loved it so well. I just literally swing over from my standing position and lay them right on there.
I'm having trouble seeing where your standing position is. You've got
I'm right between the tools and the lathe here.
Okay, so we're seeing a foreshortened shot and there's space back there.
There's space back there. Not a lot, but space for me. So now here you can get a little better view. This is from the door side. Right inside the door is my grinding thing. Matter of fact, I had to cut a notch out of the door trim so I could slide that long jig in that I use for sharpening on the CBN. And there's where I stand, right in the middle. Recently, I had been down to the short bed, but I added this back on because I got sick and tired of taking the tailstock and the banjo off, laying it on the bench and then putting it back on. But I don't know. I've tried different ways with doing that. Now I'll see if I get the carrot and show you the next
Jim,
one.
what size lathe do you have there?
I have a 14-inch. It's a Comet RD14. It's the upgrade from the Comet 2, which was 12. I had that one first.
You can see it's not bolted to the floor.
Oh, but I wonder if I have a picture of it. Jim, what I got to tell you is right under here, you might be able to see it. I have 3 cement blocks bolted with through threaded rods holding that weight under the headstock. I put some pretty bit out of balance, but it shakes the whole shop. So it's not a good idea. I'm in lathe lusting right now. Here's the other side of that post where I have I have that post so drilled out, I'm afraid the shop's going to fall down sometime because that's a main support post. But that's where I hang all my stuff. I think I got one more picture. There's a little closer shot. Sandpaper over here. This is the unorganized box here where I use a little piece of sandpaper and hand sand and just throw it in there and then root through it. I might have one more. Okay, this is my prize and joy. How do you keep your tools organized? For me, I have these little holes where I put everything in there. Well, I go, how do I remember which hole gets which? So I took a picture and the back part is the printed picture. So I just look over, I'm a visual guy and go, oh, choo, and stick it right in the hole. So that's my way of keeping track of them. And then the lathes the chucks are arranged in a row here and they have some kind of order to them. And I've added another G3 recently. I'm slowly switching over to all Novas. I have a bunch of cheap ones you don't see, a bunch of cheap PSIs. All right, that was me.
That's you. Okay.
I love that picture idea.
You like a photo idea? I think it's a great
Yeah, it's
idea.
great,
I'm a
yeah.
photographer as well, and I have a printer right here next to me. So that's my solution. I always say I'm visual.
Okay. Latrell, you got 5 minutes.
Okay, let me show you a few shop pictures here. Let me go into share mode. Okay, so you should be able to see that picture.
Yep.
All right, so there's kind of two sections to my shop. Part of this is a heating system for the house, so it takes up a little room. My shop is 15 by 40, but it seems pretty small to me. So it's just a counter that I work at, and there's storage in the cabinets above, some tools in there. Moving over to my lathe setup. Hang on a second.
I'm seeing a shopsmith in the corner of that picture too.
Yeah, there is. Hang on. Sorry, went the wrong way.
Well, I like that shot. That's a good picture.
All right, so my lathe is against the wall there, and my shop is so small that I have everything in this shop's on wheels out of necessity. And so what I do when I want to use it is, in that shot, it was on felt pads, and it's a tiled floor, a concrete tiled floor, so I would slide it out. Since then, I've put wheels on it and casters. And my tool storage is on the left there. So I stand between the lathe and my cabinet there, and so when I put a tool down, I don't put it on the bench. I turn around and I stick it back in the cabinet. I don't even have to look anymore. I know where they are. I've done it enough. And the little I added the little cabinet below. I don't have a more close-up picture, but to put all those other little pieces, and there's sliding plexiglass in front there, so that I don't fill it with chips, because everything gets filled with chips. When I designed my shop, or when I rebuilt my shop, I added other cabinets. Rather than having multiple doors to open up, I had the wall space there, so I decided to, each cabinet has its own set of tools depending on what I'm doing with it. And yeah, you did notice the shopsmith. The shopsmith was actually my first lathe, and kind of what got me into it. So I keep the shopsmith. I don't use it for lathe work anymore, but as Jim Duxbury and I talked about before, it's nice to have for other operations. So as you move more to the right, different cabinets are carrying different tools. This is the other end of the shop, and unfortunately, the heating system for the house takes up quite a bit of room in probably a quarter of the shop. I built cabinets. Everything in these other cabinets that I built, there's either shelves or drawers. I've got drawers with turning stuff, and then there's shelves for smaller tools that I just don't have bench space for. And that's kind of, so you can kind of get an overall view of the shop that way. My dust collection system, you see the white pipe on the right side there? I use a flexible hose, and I move that from tool to tool. And on the outside wall here, you can't see the door there, but there's a hatchway that goes up through there. And I have another shed outside, and my dust collection system is in the shed outside, so that I don't ever have to deal with the dusty bags in the house. And it's a two-stage system, so I just, with only a 30-gallon drum. So if I'm planing wood, I have to change it quite often.
So how are you using the windows in that shop? Have you got a bench or a table under them? I can't see from here.
No, that's just a shelf. That's the west wall of the house. This is a basement wall, but the basement's only 4-foot concrete walls. When I built the house, I put 5 feet of standard construction on top. So the rest of the downstairs space, which is my wife's studio, has 9-foot ceilings. This was 9-foot ceilings, but I took up some of it with the drop ceiling.
I I have doors to the outside in my shop, but no windows. And I often think if I had windows, I'd have my workbench right under them.
I could have, but I would have lost too much space that way. So I didn't. But I do like having the windows there. So let's see. Oh, that was it. That's the outside shop. So that's a little bit of a shop tour. It's all I had.
Okay. And your share if you can, or I will.
I got it.
I got it. There you go.
Ed, I have a question on your Grizzly lathe. You said you put it on casters now. I've always been leery of that. That's about the only machine in my shop that isn't on casters. And I'm just wondering, does yours want to walk?
The kind of casters I use, it doesn't stay on the casters. You push the casters down by your foot to move the lathe, then you tip them back up. So the answer is no, because it's not on the casters when you're using it.
Got it.
I recently put those on. I think I found them for $40 on Amazon, and you can get some that'll hold. The ones I found held 600 pounds for $36 or something. Then I realized I should have got the ones that hold 900 pounds for like $42. I didn't see them. So if you get those, get the ones that hold, I mean, depending on this, my lathe weighs 600 pounds. So get the heavier ones. You can move it fairly easily, but you got to kind of pull the sides and get the wheels in the right position before it moves properly.
Don't forget, he started turning on a shopsmith, so that's no problem at all.
You're right, Jim. I know about that bouncing across the floor part.
You need to wear roller skates with shopsmiths.
Yeah, you put 2x4s between the wall and the lathe so that it doesn't run into it.
Wood shop. Thank God for wood.